Secure your bike with wheel chocks, either the front or the rear. Then slide wooden blocks underneath the engine, making it a tight fit. Leave room for a floor jack so you can raise the engine a little bit. This is important because you'll be removing part of the frame and the bike could collapse otherwise. Next, remove the seat by lifting up the front part first and then sliding it backwards and upward. The next step is to remove the 4 bolts that are at the rear of the gas tank. Next, remove the 2 vacuum hoses underneath the tank mount. Now you can raise the rear portion of the tank a little bit and place a wooden block under it to hold it up. The next step is you're going to remove the fuel line. It requires pushing 2 buttons in from opposite sides. My fingers are too fat, so I use screwdrivers to push on it as I pull it out. A little bit of gas will leak, but just a few drops, you can catch it with a rag. Now shove the fuel line through the frame so it'll be able to come up freely with the tank. Now reach up under the tank and remove the electrical connection to the fuel pump by pressing 1 tab. The tank is now ready to be removed. Straighten out your handlebars so you don't scratch it and pull it up and backwards carefully. And then place it somewhere where it'll be safe. Now you can see the stock airbox and filter. It is pinched in place by the frame, so we'll have to remove the frame in order to get the airbox out. There are 2 horizontal bars on the top of the bike with 5 bolts holding them in place. They have to be removed so that you can get to the airbox. First, remove the bar on one side only. These 2 horizontal bars are part of the frame of the bike. That's why it's important to have the wooden block underneath, because when you remove them, you want to prevent the bike from scissoring shut and pinching things, causing damage. Remove the horizontal bar on one side and lay it down slightly out of the way. Then proceed to removing the bar on the other side. Now, loosen the clamp at the front of the airbox and you can remove the hoses and lift and pull it out. Once you've removed the airbox, replace one of the horizontal bars so the bike is rigid again. Then remove the hose clamp and the rubber gasket that goes into the box over the radiator. This rubber gasket isn't needed in most cases. Now you can begin to install your new intake airbox and filter. We will be installing a War Bonnet Screaming Scout, but there are several other brands coming on the market. Be sure to attach any emissions hoses that were attached to the original stock air intake. Secure the new air filter and check to make sure all their connections are still in good shape. Now it's time to replace the other horizontal frame bar. Put it in place and put the bolts and nuts on. Be sure to torque it back to its original tightness. You might even want to use some Loctite. The bike may have torqued a little bit, so you might have to use the jack to raise it up and down to get the bolt holes to line up. Okay, now it's time to put the tank back on. As you slide it on, two little metal cups will slide over some rubber bumpers on the frame. Then you'll have to feed the fuel line back through the frame. It's kind of tight, but by moving hoses around a little bit, you can push the fuel line back through to where you can plug it into the engine fuel intake. Be sure to press the fuel line onto the engine fuel intake and feel it click so it's very securely in place. Next, you will start putting the 4 bolts at the rear of the gas tank back in place. Now put the 2 vacuum hoses back onto their connectors underneath the tank mount. Sometimes you have to tug out a little bit to get a hold on them. Now slide the back of the seat over the spool and then press down on the front of it onto the little stub, and you're ready to ride. Adding a high flow intake in addition to a new exhaust and a fuel management computer will add tremendous power to your bike. Any brand you buy is going to be great, but we hope you'll check ours out at indianaftermarket.com. Thank you.